My name is Andre Koen. I want to say thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the drivers of change, right? So oftentimes people are intimidated. They have incomplete stories about things like immigration or changing demographics and what one thing or another. And one of the things that I'd like to kind of point out is that change is probably the only thing that is constant, right? And so when we think about that, I want you to put yourself in the position of a person who owned a cart and buggy uh, business, right? So you were a manufacturer of carts and buggies and horse-drawn carriages, and all of a sudden you see this newfangled device called an automobile. So as the manufacturer of the buggy, the horse-drawn carriage, what might that person be saying or thinking about this new automobile? They might say that it's dangerous, that that horses are reliable because we know horses. These things are going to put me out of business. But what I also want you to recognize is, what would our world be like if we were still stuck with horse and buggies, right? And so when we think about the nature of change, there are things like technology, the shift in resources, the recognition that there may be more efficient ways to do things that drive many of the changes that we're experiencing. And so where the horse and buggy manufacturer might see the automobile as a threat, we also recognize as a society that it is an opportunity to advance in ways that benefit society. And so as fossil fuels become whatever they are, and people can have whatever thoughts they want to have about fossil fuels or whatnot, but we have to recognize that technology is moving us in such a way that we will be using fossil fuels differently in the future, if at all, right? And so when we think about the changes that are coming, it may not necessarily be a specific affront to me, but the advancement of how we're moving as a society. And so when we think about these notions of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we think about demographic shifts, and we think about generations in the workplace, and we think about gender roles as it pertains to helping organizations achieve goals, what we may recognize or what we may see is shifts in these things that are not meant to specifically hurt or harm, but to advance or create more opportunities that we can take advantage of these new opportunities, right? So when we think about change, there are lots of things that drive change, and so as you hear people talking about or bemoaning shifts, either in paradigms, in ideologies, or in the way that we operate and work with each other, I want you to help them pause and think critically about the opportunities that these shifts could be presenting, and as we relate those to past shifts that may have been difficult for people to recognize. And so my name is Andre Cohen. I want to say thank you so much for engaging in this conversation with us. We'll see you in the next video, and we look forward to seeing who you become as we continue these conversations. Thank you.